The stage has been set. I'm now beginning my State of Decay 2 Hardcore Survivors run, and I introduce the first of my 44 heroes. Meet Snowman. Snowman. Really? Look, as a white Englishman, I really shouldn't be talking about this, but Snowman? Let's be honest, that's an unusual choice for a moniker. Am I allowed to say that? I mean, we're okay, right? Right? Regardless, Snowman, real name Earl Frost, is, very funny. Yeah, very cute, guys. Yeah, they have a sense of humour at Undead Labs, for sure. Anyway, Polar Bear over here is a survivor of some distinction. This means he is statistically above average from the rest of my legacy pool. His distinction is that he just keeps going. A huge plus 45 stamina and 40% less fatigue severity. That will certainly be useful given the trial he's been thrown into. We're in Meager Valley for the first attempt at solo queue, where I can only play as Snowman upon reaching the starting house. There are also 2 Talon contractors, but they're only here to watch. The rules to this scenario are very straightforward, and the general rules still apply. No special traders, no DLC bonuses, no bounty broker gear, no red Talon stuff, no boons, no NPC shields, no exploits, and no bloody advanced biochem station. It is taking place at a slightly lower difficulty, Nightmare Zone with constant extreme and negative curveballs, but it should still be hard enough. I don't start as Snowman, so I make it my business to reach the starting house as quickly as possible to select him. And it seems the others are just as eager to get going. Sort of. The Talon contractors don't start with any equipment at all, so I borrow a gun from the start to take out the starter feral. We reach the house with little resistance, and I ready something before we claim the base and the game starts proper. I can't play as the Talon contractors, but I can arm them with guns from Snowman's last run, and oh! I'll admit, I didn't think Snowman would be packing so much heat. Between the fully automatic Raiders assault rifle with an advanced brake and a Kodiak XL shotgun with advanced choke, I think the 2 chaperones will be just fine. I gave them these weapons because characters the player is not controlling as don't make noise and don't expend ammo, so it makes sense to give them the powerful weapons lest a juggernaut shows up during a raid or something. And now we take control of our main man. I don't know why he had a bottle of 12-year-old scotch on him though. As I loot some starting locations and do my first survey run, let's look at the history of Snowman. Our man was recruited at the very end of a daring run. I'd started Lethal Zone with 3 fresh characters to see if I could do it flawlessly. I ultimately failed to ensure no casualties in that run, but we still finished the map. When scouting for new recruits, I was struck by how high his stamina was, so I had to bring him aboard. He had promise. Snowman's second run saw him become leader after the former leader, whose name was Dick, died during a botched plague heart assault at the construction corner at Province Ridge. Snowman eventually took the survivors to victory. His third run, oddly enough also in Province Ridge, saw Snowman take a step back from leadership roles which he isn't normally comfortable with, but fate had other ideas. There was a black plague heart. In front of this heart was an additional curveball plague heart that made zombies stronger. Upon taking that plague heart out and ending the curveball, another curveball occurred for stronger zombies, but this time behind the black heart. Very unlucky. The leader Fist went to take out the heart, but the turbocharged zombies were faster, dealt more damage, spread more infection, and were immune to fire. Fist was unable to kill the black heart, and was eventually overwhelmed and ripped apart. Fist's second-in-command, Barbie, then attacked the heart. It constantly drained her health as it did for Fist before her, and ultimately she died as well. As the last starter, and one of the very few runs where I lost 2 starters, it was all on the line now. With the remains of the supplies, Snowman stormed the heart with extreme prejudice and took it out. But even back then I forbade myself from playing as anyone other than the starting 3, so he had to finish the map on his own, becoming leader again. So, Snowman has some experience running solo before, but nothing like this, and yes, there are constant extreme and negative curveballs. Such a situation may come about again. Traumatized by what has happened in his runs, Snowman must push on. I looted the ammo hotspots so the base at least had some ordnance to help with morale. And there was something else. This scenario doesn't forbid radioing new enclaves, so Snowman made the call. Additional enclaves are very useful as trading partners, ports in the storm, and the enclave boons they give further down the line can be very powerful. I'd recommend any player to radio in as many enclaves as possible for these reasons. Enclaves will also provide additional recruits or meat shields if you're so inclined, but that's forbidden in these runs. Snowman completes the starting quest to bring 2 plague samples to another enclave, and we are well on our way. As a side objective, I decide to run and steal a car I know can be upgraded with a light upgrade kit. Snowman started with one, for some reason, and the upgraded Trailblazer will come in handy later. For now, though, I need to lock and load. Several hearts woke up during the day and we need to get to work. It's very lucky he started out with some stimulants and firebombs, but in order to start taking out the hearts I'll need a heavy melee weapon. After searching many sheds and the like, I found one, and we are ready to start the fight. Under the cover of darkness, we begin to take back Meager Valley. The first awakened plague heart fell quickly, and I'd forgotten that in Nightmare Zone zombies die when the plague heart is destroyed. It was a nice surprise. But my attempt to prevent a siege didn't work, and after we grab the espresso outpost, which we will most definitely need later, we head back to base to stop what was an honestly very minor siege. No worries. While getting back out to do some looting, I got some very interesting news. One of my all-time favourite curveballs, the epitome of high reward, high risk. I set off to see what sort of damage I could do. But as I tried to start the fireworks, I was very disappointed. It turns out, in my frenzy, I hadn't noticed another curveball was already in effect. Thick-skinned, resistant to headshots and melee. Great. After a bit of surveying, I decided to loot elsewhere. But what happened next, I'm not sure. I think I assumed the area of effect was elsewhere. Or maybe I just forgot that curveball effects stack with each other. Or maybe the call of the void beckoned amid the trauma undergone by our protagonist. Either way, that was really stupid. I mean, really stupid. With a whole new outlook on life, I decide to ignore the western half of the map until Thick-Skinned cleared up, and go back to looting more neutral locations. I loot some food because the enclave from earlier was now asking for it, and I was hoping for a good boon. Not very useful at all. And this was some bullshit. I take some time to loot the entire central area, mostly clear of plague territory, for building materials, and I reflect on some details I've not mentioned. Snowman is a Seeker class, backpacking, scouting, endurance, gunslinging. It's fitting that he's more a self-sufficient jack-of-all-trades type build, given he's working on his own. But Snowman isn't completely on his own. Red Talon contractors Morris and Costa are monitoring his progress. And they offer their 5th skills of foraging and combat medicine respectively, giving Snowman +1 food and meds a day, along with the knowledge of gardening, and knowledge of medicine and surgery. I even built a garden for Morris to work in while Snowman finishes the map. And what is Snowman's 5th skill?
You gotta be fucking kidding.
I recruited Mr. Frost before I realised how crap beds really are. Despite what the game tells you, the morale penalty isn't very much if you're sleeping on the floor, and you're better off using outpost and base slots on other things. It also doesn't help we're in a base that already has 2 bedrooms, so bollocks. However good his stamina might be, sleep psychology is not a great 5th skill. But even in spite of that, I'm starting to think this run is fucking with me. I'm trying to write a survival masterpiece that will transcend the ages, but the details are... I'm playing as a coloured bloke named Snowman who worked as a sleep therapist and now can't sleep. He's not allowed to sleep, that's the point of the run. Prior to the outbreak, he dedicated his career to something destiny decided he wasn't allowed to do. I should think of all people, he'd know the dangers of sleep deprivation, but here we are. And as we can see, this is already becoming a concern. To make matters even worse, I have not been pacing myself very much at all, and I'd forgotten that when under the effects of caffeine, you can't take more caffeine to restore your maximum stamina. We are in a world of pain. I just have to bank on his high stamina to get us through. Luckily, we're not discussing dreams involving donuts and sausages. He played some sport in his spare time. Snowman is a tough and resilient character. Also, an amateur pilot. I don't think that has much bearing on anything, though. Despite being the world's chew toy, I like this guy. I feel I know him as a character, and a very chill guy. I would think that's why they call him Snowman, if I didn't know better. But we'll see just how chill he really is when we're done abusing the espresso outpost. Snowman takes out 3 more plague hearts in one very active morning, including some instances of that damage glitch that saved us some time.
Okay, it's on the ropes.
I think fire-resistant zombies stack damage against plague hearts when they run against them. We can now promote Earl Frost to leader to say we're at least entering the middle part of this hero's journey. And yes, I also find it bizarre that such a cool customer would gravitate to being a blood-hungry warlord, but I suppose he has suppressed rage? The espresso probably doesn't help. But not 5 minutes later we have to deal with this. I need an artillery outpost. I hate this quest. The artillery outposts are rubbish and are really a waste of an outpost slot, but here we are. I decide to get it out of the way and enlist Costa as a follower. This is not a violation of the rules because I have to do this as part of the main quest. And where is the artillery? Oh, you're killing me. We'll have to be very careful. AI partners are rubbish and likely to get themselves killed in the best of times, let alone bordering trouble like here. En route, I sort out an enclave, hate the boon, and recruit a mechanic. At least thick skin ended, and we now have outlaws passing through. I'm sure that won't be a problem. We destroy the plague heart, talk to the weirdo NPC, and I can't quite claim the outpost yet because my command center is still upgrading. That's okay though. I take this opportunity to do some looting and save a local NPC. I ask her to join, but she won't come with me. Okay, fine. I drive back to the artillery outpost to finish the quest. And yes, I noticed I just drove up a one-way passage with a juggernaut behind me, but I can just use the minefields and be done. And then I can't afford the outpost. So now I'm trapped. And I get to watch this. I can't drive out, so I'm now stranded on the other side of the map. And I need more influence. I nick another car and try to pick up the survivor again, but she's still just staying here. Can't get influence this way. So I drive all the way back to base, load up a bunch of crap to sell to the plebs for fuck's sake. Outlaws Curveball. Why does this game hate me so much? I lock and load, kill the outlaws very easily thanks to gunslinging, take all of their stuff, and then get the gargantuan jugger Curveball. Normally I'd love this curveball because it prevents other curveballs spawning, but you'll see. I sell more stuff to another enclave I summoned and go back to the artillery outpost. The jug hasn't despawned. I claim the outpost, set the mines, kill it, and can finally put this shitty quest to bed. Costa has been waiting for about half an in-game day, so I don't think she'd be too chuffed with all this. Oh, and another thing. Thank God for the stuck radio command. It saved me more times than I can remember. But what a headache! And I'm annoyed I lost the jugger curveball, but at least I got that prestige. As much as a huge pain in the arse the last hour has been, at least it's not as bad as Daybreak. That NPC still won't follow me back to base, so I just go back to base on my own to quit the game and get some sleep. But this isn't an option for our hero. I know it had been a very long day, but it's gonna be a long night as well. Upon a reset, the recruit has actually wound up at my base, so that's cool. And the new mechanic is actually really good, but this isn't a run for talent. I decide to entertain the Alcoholics quest, but a new curveball is making things difficult. Stinky zombies drain what little stamina I even have, and it takes a while. Eventually it gets sorted, and I take the lone alcoholic back home, only to sit through this. The main quest keeps bothering me, so I tackle that next. Destroy the plague hearts to clear the area. I love this curveball. However, your minefields aren't quite as good when Zeds are fire resistant. This one is exhausting me already, let alone Snowman. I want to speed along the blitz. Another plague heart dead thanks to a smoke grenade, but I need a reliable way to set fire to everything in the hope it glitches the plague hearts quickly. I prioritise upgrading my workshop and loot a bunch of building materials from a building site and sheds and anywhere else. But I also want to move the base to a central location. The farm is an average base, but I now have 6 members of Snowman's crew and will be needing an armory before long. Once again, I tear up the plague hearts, not without getting a bit singed here and there, but that's part of the course, and I still secure a new central base. We have most definitely reached the middle of our story, and I'll need to film multiple parts. As we're rebuilding everything we need, I get a distress call from a nearby barn. The lady needs me to watch her while she loots. No worries. But what happens next, I had to rewatch. Stinky zombies are still causing a massive melee problem, and given the fuckers are on fire, they're running much faster, and given they're resistant to fire means they're not dying efficiently, and they're dealing more damage. I found myself shooting them while they're on fire and low-key hoping for an explosive chain reaction, but it's not happening. I've got to admit, it's fun in its own way, but things are getting out of hand. Just a tad, you know? A bad feeling creeps over me. This is just too crazy. I'm also aware of the juggernauts out and about, and I'm not gambling fighting them. It's time to abort. But my escape is not as straightforward as I'd like, and with stamina so low I can't roll to put myself out when I'm on fire easily. But if I can just make it to the trailblazer, I can get back to the base. But this is looking very bad. The screamers have made everything much worse. It doesn't matter if the car's about to explode, I just need to get clear. But low health sees me thrown from the car to do the dying animation for the 3rd time now. With panic fully set in, I finally get my chain reaction. I'm honestly devastated. I really didn't think I'd lose someone this early, but I underestimated fire-resistant zombies. It was a really rough combination. I regret not activating the health boost you can get from the infirmary, and I regret not taking this more seriously. As I look back at old footage, I can see just how narrow an escape I kept having. The warning signs were there. I really should have cleared fueling the plague, and it's not the first time something like this has happened. And that is it. As per the rules, the 2 contractors must now pack up and abandon the community. The title of this video says part 1, but there will be no part 2. Success rate is 0%, survival rate is 0%. Holy shit. I'm surprised how heavy this feels. Rest in peace.